is higher than the kind of average trend. Nonetheless, it is good to see that tick downward slightly, and we'll see where we land next Thursday afternoon. We have producer price index, jobs, and retail sales to cover here this week, but we will have a little shorter session as we have a internal kind of client event here coming up this evening. My name is Brandon Steele, financial advisor with Mainsail Financial Group, and our goal every Thursday is to bring to you the market news, the data, the trends that we're watching, hopefully weed out a bit of the noise along the way. And again, this week, typically we go 5 to 10 minutes or so. This week might be a little bit shorter. First off, a little less on the data front. Second off, we'll skip the question of the week as we do have an internal kind of client town hall event this evening. So the first thing that I want to cover actually goes back to last week. So we did actually have some more inflation data come out. We have covered the consumer price index and we have covered the PCE index. Last Friday, kind of wrapped it all up with the PPI producer price index. And the headline number was basically flat, and the core number was up 0.1%. So in kind of a contrast to what we saw in the consumer price index, where it actually surprised to the upside slightly, on the producer price index, they actually surprised to the downside slightly. So, not by a lot, but on either side of the coin, but either way, a little bit in conflict with what we saw in the consumer price index side of things. But of course, these numbers are very different, to be clear. So, they're not, ever meant to necessarily move in lockstep like that. We also had consumer sentiment, which was down slightly. Nothing to really, think too hard on here, but obviously there are some cracks in elections and all this stuff coming up, and so likely that that's leading to some consumer sentiment challenges. And then we also had initial jobless claims come out today. So initial jobless claims today came out at 241,000, a slight tick downward from last week. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is good to see because initial claims have actually been trending upward recently, let's say over the last month-ish plus. And so although this number is higher than the kind of average trend, nonetheless, it is good to see that tick downward slightly, and we'll see where we land next Thursday. But I did want to highlight this as we have seen a bit of a trend upward. Last week was about 260,000 to kind of give you a reference point. And then today, we also had retail sales come out. Retail sales were up 0.4%. So as remains the story, we are still seeing strength here, no question about it. One number, obviously not enough to draw too many conclusions around, but nonetheless, still seeing strength on the retail sales and consumer spending side of things for sure. So coming up, be sure to tune in next Thursday. We'll get back to kind of the regular scheduled program. We'll have housing starts, existing home sales, and new home sales all kind of wrapped into our Thursday update. So let's say a housing market update. But we're also getting deeper into earnings season. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about where we stand from an earnings perspective as well as we get a little further into October and some of the larger companies start to report here in the near future. In the meantime, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday at 3.